Why are we seeing so many people under so much pressure in our world today? Or in our world in general? Should we assume that this is all normal and all a part of growing up, or is it something else? This is a genuine concern. I mean, we are seeing all kinds of pressure. Pressure to find love, pressure to get a good job, pressure to get the highest paying job or the highest qualification, pressure to get the latest iPhone, the latest car, pressure to get things done, and the list goes on. It feels like we are in an endless competition, a rat race to get somewhere, and at the same time, we don't know where that somewhere is because the majority of us are just following the crowd, and we will go wherever the crowd says we should go because FOMO, right? Welcome once again to my video, and today I want to talk about this new wave, or I don't even know what to call it, the new pandemonium of millennials that are just so stressed, and most of them, or most of us, seem like the weight of the whole world rests upon our shoulders, to be honest. And a lot is happening, and a lot is yet to happen in our world. What is not hard to notice is how life just kind of seems a bit rushed. And I mean, there's something new that is coming out every day, a new car, a new AI, or whatever, and people seem to be collectively always on edge, expecting or even demanding for this new thing, this new best thing, the new better version of everything, so that their lives will be better and they will finally be happy with that latest gadget or something. But this pursuit of happiness really is a thing. The problem with this pattern is most of you are not living, you are merely existing. Life is just passing you by. You are not fully engaged and grasping the moments that you are experiencing. You are simply skimming through this life, all these life experiences. You're just skimming through all these life experiences in search of the next best thing. And that could be anything in form of money or fame or some sort of self-importance where you want your life to mean something. And this is why you are under so much pressure. You genuinely want to prove, whether it's to yourself or others, that you are worthy of existing. So all this pressure you are feeling and putting on yourself really boils down to self-worth. Do others think I'm worthy? Or do I believe I'm worthy of all these things that I dream of having? And when the answer is maybe, that's when you hear people talk like, if you want respect, you need to fight for it, or I will fight for this position in this company because I deserve it. I will fight, I will fight, I will fight. So when you really observe people in today's world, people lack that sense of inner peace. People are fighting with themselves, fighting to belong, fighting for acceptance, fighting for recognition, fighting with themselves if they are in the right religion, for instance, or political party. There is so much inner conflict, so much toil going on with each one of us, and that is always reflected on the outside world as, you say, wars or conflict or across the world. So much unrest. And this is because all of this is coming from within us. The world you see, or the world that you are a part of, shows you what really is going on within each one of us in here. We are putting ourselves under so much pressure with the intention to get the very best out of this lived experience, because life is short. But in doing so, we completely miss the point or the plot. We are so focused on searching for the next best thing and not fully realizing that life is the best thing there is and no more. How do you then relieve yourself from feeling like you are under so much pressure all the time? Most of us feel pressured because we have been conditioned and grow up listening to grown-ups who say things like opportunity comes once, or grew up listening to lyrics like you only got one shot, do not miss a chance to blow it because opportunity comes once in a lifetime, you better lose yourself, blah blah blah. I got carried away there. Anyway, so this picture is now our reality because we believe this to be truth, and so it shall be, and so it is. The downside with believing this is exactly why you always feel pressured, because you know, or you believe, you won't have any do-overs. You know you must make the right decision every time, even though neither one of us owns a crystal ball and can see the future. But still, you are required to make the right decision. If you're guessing, well, you must make damn sure that whatever you're guessing is the right answer. Otherwise, you might be paying for the consequences in a later future, or other people will pay for the consequences of your choices you're making today. It's no wonder that most of us are really under so much pressure and suffer from so much stress, because think of the responsibility that must be every time you have to tread carefully and make sure you don't make any mistakes, because you won't have any do-overs. If you happen to, say, make a mistake that causes you to lose your job or to make a loss or get fired from it, the regret alone is enough to kill someone. So yes, no pressure, right? When we truly and consciously observe this said truth that is operating in a lot of people and forms the basis for their reality, we realize that this is simply an opinion. An opinion someone made based on their own living circumstances, and here we all are stuck with this opinion. And it is not, as a matter of fact, the truth. It is important to realize that some truths that most of us are clinging on today do not serve us in any way. These were just systems or conditions or limitations that we observed and internalized as our truths, because we observed the patterns the adults that we grew up with display and adopted these patterns as our own. These limitations do not have to govern our reality if you do not want them to. If you realize that something in your life needs changing, start by looking at why you do certain things and how you do certain things, and ask yourself, is this something that I choose to do, or is this something that was handed down to me and I don't quite agree with, or see why I should continue doing this? If you discover that these behavior patterns are in fact not of your own, say, making, of your own choosing, and do not serve you in any way, shape or form, please make the necessary changes. Find beliefs, truths and behavior patterns that serve you and replace the old belief system with the new belief systems, and that is how you are able to change your external world. Even the Bible itself has a new system replacing the old system or the old way of doing things. The Old Testament, the New Testament. That should tell you something. Use the old system to build, or as a foundation upon which the new system is built upon, so that you don't risk reverting back to your old ways. So always use it as a reference point. So just don't throw away the whole old system entirely. That's not how it's done. Clinging to old beliefs that don't make sense or keep you in bondage is the same as, it's self-sabotage basically. If you don't know that you have old beliefs or old belief systems that needs checking up on, then you don't know. You can change what you don't know. But on the other hand, if you know and still hold on to these old beliefs or old belief systems, then you've made that choice consciously, and you shall equally bear the consequences. Bear in mind, nature doesn't care about your feelings. Therefore, you might be asking, how then do I get around to this? Well, the key to solving your mental problems or your problems in general is through observation. Observation. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be all. Thank you for listening. Bye bye. On a serious note, observation is the key to correcting your life. There is nothing else to say about it. What being enlightened or being awakened means is pretty much that you are present. You are in the moment. You are conscious. You are awake. You have the front row seat to your own life, or to observe your life happening in real time, and you can observe everything that is happening all around you from one perspective, of course. So, sometimes you will have moments where you are drawn into the game of life and you are so immersed into the action, but when you catch yourself, you are able to pull out and be present once more. As for my experience, it all started when I started observing my life, and I would have these glimpses of what I was doing. You know, just flashes sometimes, and then I would go back to normal, or what we call normal, which in this context means unconscious. So anyway, the more I practiced being present, I noticed things. For instance, if I did something and then I later on sit with myself and realize that maybe there was a better way of doing the action, you know, for example, if I wasn't nice, if I didn't talk kindly to someone, what I observed was, more than once, that same scenario would repeat or reoccur. Not exactly the same, but a similar circumstance would happen. And that allowed me to, or would allow me to redo or recorrect that very thing that, you know, I caught myself not doing right. And that is how it all started adding up and made sense, that I realized that life is a learning experience. And I started connecting the dots and started thinking of routines in nature, like, you know, repeating routines like seasons and day and night, and how you have, you know, the sun coming in and the sun setting, and how everything is always repeating. And that's when I knew in that moment that this belief of opportunity coming once and life has no do-over is a false belief, and I needed to get away with it. I needed to do away with it. As long as the sun will set and come back up, that is your clean slate, period. That is your clean slate. That is your do-over. You can have as many do-overs and as countless as the times the sun rises. That's how many do-overs you basically have. So it's limitless. So all this requirement that you have to make the right decision, and that your future children might well depend on the decision that you make today, is not entirely true. Unless, of course, you choose this to be your truth, then it will be. No problem with that. Either way, it is for you to decide. And it is not really worth you stressing over and putting so much pressure on yourself. And equally so, this is not, bear in mind, an opportunity for you to slack and not do your due diligence. That is not what I'm saying. Nature does not reward laziness kindly. And if this is what you wish to do, then you will do that at your own peril. Living a life that you're always in search of the next best thing can be very draining. And this is because you find no genuine fulfillment in your actions, because the intention is coming from outside of you and not from within you. Things on the outside cannot be controlled by you. They are outside your scope of control. Therefore, if you are dancing to a tune played by the outside world, you will be dancing to so many tunes at once, being pulled from one corner to the next and trying to keep up to the beat, but always falling short because, you can't control the music because there'll be so many tunes coming out at the same time. How can you keep up? How can you possibly do that? So how you stop this is by focusing on what you alone can control, and that is the intention that comes from within you. What you can control is how you yourself can react to the music on the outside. Your reaction is what matters. You alone should set the intention from within yourself and follow that. And whatever matches your intention on the outside, you can dance to that tune. But that is because it is in sync with what is already within you. And you're just going to follow that all the way. That way you cannot be pressured or stressed because this is coming from you, remember? In form of your, say, passions, your values, and your beliefs. And even when you have challenges, these challenges will be so easy to maneuver because you have nothing to prove to the outside world, because the intention and conditions for whatever it is that you have chosen to experience or pursue has been set by you. So even when people judge you, when people will decide to judge you or question your or say things that question your self-worth and say things that aim at causing you to doubt yourself, you can easily tune them out. Because remember, the intention was set by you and not them. By them, the outside world. So you don't have to answer to the outside world. You don't have to answer to anyone. You will only have to answer, or who you only have to answer to is yourself and to the God that is within you. And whenever you feel that you are out of alignment and something needs changing, you can always go back within yourself and change those old beliefs and replace them with new ones and then carry on. You see? That is how you will always be in step with yourself and in alignment with it is, or with whatever your purpose is. Following the outside, like following trends that are coming from the outside world, will leave you feeling so pressured, so stressed, and very depleted. If for some reason you can remember anything I have said in this video, at least remember this one thing. Life is not about what it is that you do while you are alive, because trust me, a lot of people do what they do because their self-worth is in question. If they knew better, they would choose something, or they'll choose to do something else much more fulfilling. Anyway, life is not about what it is that you do, but rather how you do what it is that you're doing. For instance, one person can be more fulfilled just by taking a walk in a field or a garden as compared to someone who has just signed $1 billion worth business deal, for instance. The world has its own successful players that we have been conditioned to believe that to be happy and fulfilled, you must own things and the world must approve of those things. But the reality is the world cannot define what true happiness or fulfillment looks like, because This idea is entirely subjective, and it just cannot be defined in that manner, I'm afraid. So don't let the world define what happiness and fulfillment should look like to you. You should and are more capable of defining what true happiness feels like. And if you stick to what you believe, you will no longer feel pressured or stressed to fit in a particular box just so you can prove you are worthy. You are already worthy by virtue of existing. You exist because you already are worthy to exist. And that's all, really, there is to it. And as always, stay safe.